Hey, it's Mike, the Erudite DM, and I am joined today, I'm happy to say, by Will from Runeforged. I think a lot of you who play Shadowdark know his games and know his videos and his YouTube channel and so forth. Some really spectacular content in the last, Will, 24 months?
Yeah, so I think I've done it seriously now for a little over a year, and I was tinkering a little bit before then, but I think I've been doing it seriously for about 1 year now.
Yeah, and thank you so much for coming on. Right before we started, I was just telling Will that, I'm always amazed. I reach out to people who I think are interesting, especially where Shadowdark's involved, and I like to talk with them. And I think I'm learning from Will and others that, hey, they want to talk about it too. So
Yes.
thanks for checking the video out, subscribe, like, do all those things you're supposed to do. If you haven't clicked off already, hopefully you stuck around. So we are going to talk about some of Will's newer products, and I'm going to put a link to your drive-through channel.
That would be awesome. Thank
so they
you.
can see all of your stuff. If it's okay, I'll put an affiliate on there so I can get some
Of course.
shekels on the sides.
I highly encourage it, as a matter of fact. Yep.
Yeah. Because I plan to retire soon, and I need those thousands and thousands of dollars I get from drive-through.
Yeah, the thousands and thousands of cents you'll make over the next couple of months on affiliate.
I'd be happy with thousands of cents.
I'm not complaining. Let me be very clear.
Yeah, so let's be honest. Is Shadows of Camelot your biggest seller today?
Yes, okay. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, brilliant idea. How did you come up with, I love Arthur? What was the background? What was the process? How did you get to Camelot?
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of a funny story. I think I was just seeing clips on YouTube of, I think it was the movie Excalibur. Like, I was seeing clips from the movie Excalibur pop up on my YouTube feed. Yeah. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do like directly in the time of Arthur, but I feel like there's like a way that we could really make this work in kind of a Shadowdark setting. So I just kind of went on a binge and I watched a bunch of Arthurian themed movies from my childhood. And the more I watched them, the more I was convinced that I might be able to, put something together that would be reasonable in the Shadowdark setting. So that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, last year, wife and I were lucky enough. We'd saved up for a long time. We went on a trip to Scotland and Ireland, and we were in Scotland, and we got to go to, I think it's Doune Castle, which was the one castle that Monty Python filmed. So it's the only castle they use. Well, they use Stalker Castle in the distance. That's the one with the water in front of it they have to walk through. But the main castle where the French are up there doing this number and giving them a hard time,
I remember
castle. So yeah, we got to go through that with our friends, and that was really, really cool. But I have a feeling you didn't dip into a lot of Monty Python here. There's a lot more Thomas Mallory and other sources.
Yes, you're correct. I have to be honest. I'm not a huge. I know. I'm going to lose. All my subscribers are going to leave me once I say this. I'm not a huge Monty Python fan. I think I'm just not a parody guy. I've never been a huge fan of parody. And I really love the Arthurian mythos, and I hate to see people dunking on it. And my least favorite thing is whenever I post anything related to Arthur, the first comment inevitably will be some quote from that movie, and
some
that makes me sad. Not necessarily because it's bad, but because I wish that they were more familiar with some of the other works.
Well, that's a good point. How many people have picked up a novel? There's so many great books of Arthurian legend. You had and then films. You had the Gawain movie a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, Green Knight was great.
That was just fantastic. I still watch those videos about the making of that thing and what it was about and what the hell did we really see there? What was really going on? And
it was a very artsy film. I liked it, but it was definitely not what I was expecting going in.
Me neither, but I'm like you. I did really like it, and I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've always been a fan then of Arthurian legend, and Arthurian legend has to be Appendix N stuff. This is a basic trope, and I think you were wise in that choice. If you're going to write something, it's a little edgier, maybe an edgier decision, a more risky decision to write something and create something that people haven't seen before. But this almost, in hindsight, I'm like, why had no one ever done? And I realize it's in the old deities and demigods book behind me back there on the wall. I think there was a section on Arthurian legend, but that's not the same thing by a long shot of what you created here. So take us through, you decided, I'm going to start writing. Was it your first big Shadowdark project? And if so, how did you start? How did you even get started?
Yeah, it was my first big one. I did have one that I published before this. It's called Against the Cult of the Crimson Hand. That's just kind of like a level 1 introductory adventure. I was kind of getting my feet wet in the world of third-party publishing. But yeah, it really was just like I got inspired by watching clips on YouTube from a lot of these old movies that I have a very deep fondness for. and I knew that I wanted to take on kind of a larger project this time. And it really is as simple as like when I get an idea in my head and it's something that I'm really passionate about, I have to work on it. There's no alternative. So I just started writing, and I started with the map actually. Well, that's not true. I started with a huge list of all the Arthurian things that
Don't lie to us, Will. Tell us the truth.
You're right. I messed up. I said in something.
What came first?
The map was the second part. Okay.
There's do-overs. It's okay.
So the first thing that I did was I went through and I rewatched all these fantastic films that are in the credit section, and I just went down and I made a list of all the cool things that I wanted to include in the setting, all the characters, all the items, all that stuff. And from there, I just like, okay, well, where would this pop up naturally in the world? And the longer I started working on it, the more I realized that I wanted to make this a post-Arthurian setting, because I thought that actually fit the theme and tone of Shadowdark a little bit better than something that's more like Pendragon, where you're actually kind of either slightly before Arthur or during the heyday of Arthur. And it fit the tone a little bit better.
I thought of that a few times reading this.
Yeah.
I bought I only have the PDF. I need to get the book, but because
that would be great.
I want to own it, and yeah, please do. Right? You're not going to argue with me there.
No,
don't try and stop me. But I want to go back and look at it again, because every time I'm looking through this, I start thinking about Pendragon or Mythic Bastionland, which I have yet to play.
Yeah, same.
But I've got a friend who's, if you're interested, has run the game. The guy I was telling you about, Watcher DM.
Yeah.
Gabriel up in Vancouver. He made the mistake of volunteering and saying,
"Oh no,
Mythic Bastionland." And I'm like,
risky.
Yeah, risky. You open your mouth, sign up. I'm going to do it. So I'll let you know. Maybe we can get a game up together.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. I've actually seen some of his channel recently. I think he's one of the up and coming Shadowdark folks that I'm really excited about. So
yeah, and he has like 60 published pieces. I didn't realize he had that much, but they're on his website. They're not. He sells through his website. He doesn't sell through drive-through.
Yeah, that's actually a really important point. I'm kind of blind to a lot of things that are not posted on drive-through, because that's really where I get all of my stuff. I even miss out on some really important Kickstarters because I'm not really a Kickstarter guy necessarily. I do some, but it's not my go-to method.
Yeah, I got to be honest. There's just so many Kickstarters, and a lot of them are great, and some of them are like, man, I don't know why I did that once I get it. But I've been happy with everything I bought related to Shadowdark.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that.
I know Chubby Funster's a mutual friend.
Yeah, he's great.
Did you take a look at his Shadow City, the vampire thing he's doing in a I don't want to say a Blade Runner setting. I keep thinking it's like a Blade.
Yeah, I think it's Vampire. I think it's Vampire the Masquerade, but with an asterisk. It's got kind of like a gang kind of thing going on, with or mob kind of setting, which is really interesting. Yeah, I actually had him on the channel not too long ago, and we talked a little bit about his Kickstarter. And then I grilled him about how he makes so much cool stuff. Got a lot of cool tips.
Quick funny story. I met him last summer at a con, and he was playing Vampire the Masquerade, and we had met and talked the night before. So he looked at me, called me over. So I sat there and watched him play for a second. He hands me this book. He goes, "Take a look at this, but don't run off with it."
Yeah.
I looked at it, and it was before, and I'm like, "Aren't you playing a vampire game?"
That's where he gets his inspiration, I'm sure.
It was really cool, and of course, it looked and felt Shadowdarky.
Yes,
if I can use that word, but
I think so. I think we're safe.
Yeah,
Kelsey, I don't think Kelsey's going to come after us for that one.
No, and Chubby is notorious. We do a live stream on Monday nights, as a lot of the people who follow me know, and we play. I'll say it's more of a beer and pretzels. This is a lot of guys. Some of them have known each other for 30 years or more.
That's awesome.
And I was very lucky to be invited into that group. They're all good guys. They're all GMs. And,
I love that. I love players.
Chubby will dip in there and he'll get in the comments section and just start jacking with us. I mean, with the jokes and the comments, and it's always a lot of fun. But he's been very successful.
Yes, for sure.
Writing for the game. So anyway, back to Camelot. So you had mentioned the post-Arthurian side of it, and then making it darker so it mimics
the
natural ethos, or the setting, if you will. Not setting, the theme, I guess.
Yeah.
The feeling, the sentiment of Shadowdark. Just a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea.
Appreciate that.
You think I should go ahead and share my screen, and I've got it pulled up here, so we could actually look at it, and you could point me through some things. Let me go over here. Can I get over there? I want to get rid of that. Let's try this again. Okay, there we are, and I'm going to share it one more time without the front cover involved. And well, I'm doing stuff that
You're good.
no man was meant to do with computers.
I have technical issues every time I try to stream, so
Yeah,
I feel your pain.
I'm sure I have a reputation as being something of a troglodyte, not the monster in the game, like a real one, where technology is concerned. So, hey, there we go.
Looks like you got it. You're nailing it.
Yeah, so there's table of contents, and for those of you watching, we're not going to do a flip through and walk through. There is a really good video, though, where Will does a flip through of this on his channel, Runeforged, and I'm going to put that link in the show notes, so to make it easy for you, you can go through and see and go check him out explaining it, because it is really, really fascinating. But let's see, where did I want to go? I want to leave the adventure and that towards the end.
Sure.
One idea that jumped out at me was the carousing and charity, which are somewhat synonymous, but skimming through it, and I should tell everybody, I've not played this setting. I've not played it, and I'm no expert on it, but I have the expert here. I feel he knows it fairly well. So
I hope so.
I went through the material and I looked for things that I thought, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a cool idea. Let me ask Will about this.
Yeah, sure.
So if you have questions after when this video launches, put them in the comments, or just go to Will's channel and ask him about it on, some way or another. You can also email me at eruditedm@gmail.com and ask me anything, and we can chat and talk Shadowdark till we're blue in the face.
Yeah. But, selfishly, I love talking about my own stuff. So this is
don't we all? Don't we all? I mean, I can't believe I've gone this far without, going into my stuff somehow, but
well, I think we'll get there.
Try not to be that guy. Let's go to carousing and charity, because I thought this was a really fun, interesting idea, but I really needed you to explain it for me.
Yeah. So basically the crux. So what charity is basically just in my opinion, a more thematic replacement for carousing for this particular campaign. And the reason I thought it was important was that I really do see this as more of like kind of a noble dark setting rather than like a grim dark survival setting. Because I did want to tie in those themes of Arthurian heroism. And I didn't feel like I wanted a game where the PCs were, it's not really a carousing type of game. I wanted it to be a little bit more about piety, a little bit more morally centered than your standard kind of ragamuffins running around treasure hunting. So that was the impetus behind the inclusion of charity.
Keep going, Will, so I can finish writing this note.
Okay.
Well, explain that table at the bottom, Will, about charity, will you?
Yeah, sure. So this is blatantly ripped from the Shadowdark rulebook. I wanted to make the system as seamless of a copy paste as possible, at least in terms of the actual mechanics of it. But then on the second page, there is another table that's a little bit more flavorful and thematic for the actual setting. Yes, awesome.
Charity outcomes. Here we go.
So you'll actually notice that a lot of the benefits and rewards are almost exactly the same as the same table from the Shadowdark core rulebook. But there's also a lot of like cool and flavorful stuff that is kind of specific to the actual setting itself. There's like some secrets in here. There are some ways to make some enemies in here. And there are also ways to get some really cool visions or other interesting mechanical effects that tie directly into the setting.
Well, I'm learning something from you here. I've not used carousing in my zine that I've done in the past, but as I told you earlier, I'm working on more of a setting. So I'm learning a lot from this, from spending some time with this. I like the way here where like roll an 11 and it's tied into Hunter's Hall on page 19. Or number 12, gain 5 XP, a luck token, and a vision from Merlin, one of your characters. And,
no spoilers,
he's in prison. So you're using your locations, you're using your NPCs and your world and integrating it with the actual carousing outcomes, which I think is very smart.
Well, thank you.
Otherwise, it just becomes kind of a generic thing that anybody could have made, right?
Yeah.
The comment I was hunting for, and I was trying to make a note for, was critiques I might share, I think, but I've also seen other people making on Reddit and other places, not of your system here. I mean, Shadowdark in general is people are saying that they're classed out. They're like, okay, stop. we've got classes. I mean, I know some people that play with only the 4 basic classes.
Oh, you're saying that we have enough classes already, and
we as a community, yes.
Gotcha. I understand where that's coming from, but I don't necessarily agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's kind of it's an economic thing. It's a free market thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Continue to write. I can't say that no more classes because I don't know what's coming. There might be something brilliant nobody's thought of before, like Camelot, and then suddenly here's all these new ideas that we should have and we should be able to play. And the other one is I think carousing, people have run too far with carousing. I don't mean just in your game or in a specific setting, but people are writing supplements just for carousing and adding more and more to it. It's kind of enough already, I mean, in my opinion. But again, same thing. Those are just opinions, and we know all about opinions.
Yeah, well, I think that's really interesting. I agree with you in the sense that the basic table works fine. I think the main issue is that if you roll on a table enough, you're just going to keep getting the same results over and over again. I think some players probably want to see a little bit more variety in that, and that makes sense to me. But also, I think carousing tables or like a replacement for it is a really good opportunity for you to kind of hone in on something that's specific to your setting, kind of like what I did here in Shadows of Camelot. Tying the carousing directly into your setting, I think, is actually pretty cool and interesting. And it's cool.
Yeah, it makes it more immersive and believable, right? I mean, it feels like it should be there, and it does make sense. It's not like, let's stop the game and play this other game where we roll dice and throw some money and get VD or whatever the bad outcome, whatever. It is fun. I have to admit, I used it a little bit when I started playing Solo Dark, which I haven't touched in probably 3 months. I like Solo Dark. Yeah. I just suddenly don't have time to do it right now. But we don't use it a lot in the Monday night game. But to be fair, a lot of our Monday night games, the live streams we're running through one shots and each taking a turn. We're not playing an extended, 5-year campaign or anything.
I 100% understand. I do think so it depends what speed you want your campaign to go. If you want to slow down the progression of your campaign, removing carousing is a really quick and easy way to do that.
Yeah. Do you play with topping out at 5th level or 10th level?
I ran my Shadows of Camelot game all the way to 10th level, but it was a very abbreviated campaign.
I think you have to in Shadows of Camelot because you have these exceptional NPCs like Arthur, who I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but I don't know. You said it in the video. He's undead now.
Yeah. You run into a lot of the characters from Arthurian legend. They're just not necessarily in the form that you might expect to meet them in, for sure.
Yeah, let's go there because I'm on Friends and Foes. Let's talk about some of the, even the casual observer will know, okay, Merlin the Wizard, Guinevere the Unfaithful, Queen, Lancelot, the French lover. What else would you expect from a Frenchman?
Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. Well, actually, I'm a Francophile. I usually
cool.
It even says on my channel description, I rooted for the French at Waterloo and D&B and Pooh and the 100 Years' War. So it's just kind of a joking thing, obviously.
I think history's cool. I'm excited whenever people are excited about it.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever looked at it, but Chubby wrote an early on setting for his own game, like in 2012 or 13, 14, called Ambition and Avarice.
I heard about that one. Yeah,
and there's a setting for it called The Last Candle, which is built on a small French kind of, and there's French words, and boy, you hit that. It's like the guys in my game. If I come up with a French name or French, vocabulary, everybody gravitates towards the English side, the Welsh. Well, not the Welsh.
Welsh is a little harder. Nobody can speak that might actually be harder than the French. Yeah,
with all the L's and consonants, nobody knows how to pronounce it. But you know what I'm saying? Because we all speak English in the U.S., we tend to gravitate towards that side versus the the much larger country and the much larger influence on Western Europe and truly the good guys. Let's admit it, the French. I'm kidding now.
You're going to ruffle some feathers.
My Spanish soccer friends.
I didn't know we were going to get political tonight, Mike. Okay.
Well, we're getting political about the 13th century in Western Europe, so I guess we're okay there.
I think we should be fine.
Nobody will cancel us or anything. So I got Friends and Foes. Steer me here. What would some interesting characters be to show them as examples of where you've taken a well-known, beloved literary character, mythological character, and morphed it into something new?
Yeah, you want to scroll down to the Merry Men section for me?
Merry Men, the Merry Men. That's Merry Men music. I'm not going to pay for real hold music, so I'm using my own.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I recognize that guy.
Yeah, we can stop on the Green Knight for a
yeah,
second.
Yeah, this is a good one. Whenever a character takes up a whole page, that's a badass. That's going to be something worth looking at.
So John Torres, aka the Basic Expert, did the art piece for this, and I think it's fantastic. I literally could not be happier with the way that it turned out.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But yeah, I knew I wanted to include the Green Knight in the setting. Originally, I wasn't sure whether he was going to be a friend or a foe. Ultimately, he turned out being a foe as kind of it worked out. But I love the Green Knight. I've been a huge fan of that story for as long as I can remember. I remember also reading like a kind of a different version of it in Warhammer Fantasy's Bretonnian book, I think from the 5th edition of that game. And I've just been in love with this character for a very long time. And I recently saw I think it was the 2021 movie that you referenced earlier.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. Again, very artsy, not what I was expecting, but very, very cool. But in this setting, I decided we're going to take him a little bit more evil. And we're going to have him be in an uneasy alliance with Morgana Le Fay. And I thought that really just kind of was the way that it slotted into this campaign, the best way that I could get it to work. So
as the GM, how would you, running this setting, how would you make those decisions? You mentioned that, he could have been a friend or a foe, or he could have been a lot worse or maybe not as bad. Are you using, something like an Oracle prompt table if you're the GM in this, or it's like, no, just based on what I've seen from this group of players and where they're heading and how they're thinking, I think it'd be more fun to go this way or that way? Yeah, I think it's a great question. I don't use oracles usually or anything like that, any sort of randomization when I'm building a structured campaign like this. I really just kind of sit down and I actually think about things in terms of narrative acts, which is a section earlier in the book that goes into this. I know, again, a lot of people are going to be very upset to hear that I plan arcs for my campaigns, but these are just the type of campaigns that I like to run. And I would like to say, like, the campaign runs just fine if you want to play it as a traditional sandbox. I don't think it'll be as good, but there's no reason why you can't do it. Yeah, and I'm not as concerned. I get where you're coming from when you wrote it. Yes. All with you there. I was just asking about how, if you were the GM, how you would play it. And would it vary from game to game based on reading your table? Players? Yes, I think it would definitely. And it also, actually, it's probably more to do with me than it is with my actual players. I prefer to run more combat heavy games, and I think most people in the OSR do. I don't mind running NPCs, but I don't want to be running a lot of NPCs at one time. And if there's an option to fight something that's really big and bad and well known, like the Green Knight, I want to take that opportunity to give the squad an opportunity to fight this person. Yeah. However, there's our outlets in the book. It says that the Green Knight is in an uneasy alliance with Morgana. So a different group that's a little bit more social in nature could potentially play on that relationship and turn the Green Knight to their side, even if only temporarily. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. There's tons of great ideas for faction play. And sometimes the faction is only a heroic figure. Sure. But sometimes they're heroic figures that could lead movements and armies and things. In fact, I was reading this before we did the video again, and skimming through it, and I thought, this would be fun to take Alchemic Raker's Zach's Hell March. Yes. And I'm sure you've already gone there and thought that. Have you experimented with it yet, with Hell March and doing a battle within this setting? So I have not done any sort of mass combat rules. I've heard Alchemical Raker's rules are quite good, and I'd love to look at them at some point. For that kind of stuff, I don't really want to make my players learn another subsystem. Yeah. But I'm not opposed to it. I love war games and I like tabletop games, but I don't usually mix them together. But I think it would be cool. Well, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think stopping one game to go leave another game with other rules is a really messy thing. Yes, correct. One caveat, and the caveat is an asterisk I'll put by Hellmarch, because he wrote it for Shadowdark. And he wrote it specifically with the philosophy that this is not a war game. It is a set of rules to add to Shadowdark to make to counterfeit a war game. So it's kind of like an easy peasy, keep the role-playing game moving without bogging down, into, let's switch over to Warhammer and use those rules, or something, whatever. That would be, I agree, a bad idea. Here's Morgana Le Fay. Interesting. I think the last time I read about her was in Poul Anderson and 3 Hearts and 3 Lions. And I don't know if you've ever read that one, but
it's on my list. I've been hearing such great things about it, and I know for a fact that some of my favorite fantasy stories draw a lot of inspiration from that series. So it is on my list. I have a hard time making it through novels these days.
It's ridiculous. No, I know it's hard to find time for reading, but reading through that book, I think it was last year I read it. Finally got around to it, and I'm like, good Lord, this is like it was written for D&D.
Yes,
I mean, there's so much stuff in there, and when you find time, you'll really, really enjoy it because there are Arthurian inflections in the book.
I think I'll really enjoy it as well,
including your big bad lady here who plays a key role.
I'm a huge fan of Morgana Le Fay. I could not include her, so here she is.
So tell us a little about her without running through the whole character here, but what makes her unique? How would you use her? Is she the main baddie in this setting? I guess not, because you could probably play a smaller one-shot or a mini campaign just built around the Green Knight, where he's the heavy, he's the baddie.
Yeah.
And Morgana doesn't even come into it, or Mordred does, or...
Yeah, I think there's actually what I liked about this campaign is there's an opportunity to make a lot of these different people like the big bad, and it may just depend in what order the PCs kind of tackle the various different challenges. I think Morgana, Mordred is actually probably the strongest individual monster in the book, because this actually assumes that if he's in the setting, it's because he has been fed or been forced to drink from the divine chalice, and therefore has been kind of returned as this semi-divine being.
And for those who don't know, sorry, Will, for those who don't know, what would the divine chalice be? Ta-da!
Yeah, that would be the Holy Grail. I'm definitely not stealing anything, but I did try to extract a lot of the real world references out of the material, with the exception of some of the stuff that surrounds the Robin Hood mythos, like King Richard and Prince John. Yeah.
No, this is really cool. And I love the working in the Ramlat's Fury. So you have references to the deities in the core rule book.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to make sure that this setting did tie into the core Shadowdark rules. Some of this is because I just wanted the challenge of seeing if I could do it. And another piece of it is I think people are more likely to play it if it ties into the core Shadowdark stuff. So they could they could have characters elsewhere. They could come to Albion or get shipwrecked on Albion and play through this storyline and then go back and do whatever. Yeah,
that's very, very smart. Is Peacebreaker supposed to be Excalibur, or?
So Peacebreaker is it is a sword from the Arthurian legend. It is not Excalibur. Arthur has Excalibur. I think Peacebreaker is meant to be Clarent. It's Clarent. I believe this is the sword that Arthur wielded during peacetime. And then in this mythos, Mordred took that sword, stole it, and used it to kill some good people, and therefore corrupted the blade. And now it's Peacebreaker as opposed to Clarent, which I believe has something to do with the word peace. You'll have to excuse me. It's been about 4 or 5 months since I actually.
No. Hey, we're all good. Everybody gets it, and you're on to writing the next thing, and they know how that is.
Yeah. So I've got it pulled up here. It says Clarent sword is a ceremonial blade in Arthurian legend associated with King Arthur as the sword of peace. Okay. Yeah. So this is an unholy inversion, a corrupted version of that weapon.
Yeah, obviously, if Mordred has it, because he ain't going to be a goodie in this world. Yeah, this is very interesting to me because I'm experimenting with playing a priest in our Monday night game. For the first
I love priests. They're so good.
I can't tell you the last time I played a cleric or a priest. It's been a long time. But I wanted to play one, and I didn't realize that if you know Paul Turner, that's Flint Fireforge.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah. Flint's kind of the first guy I kind of encountered when I was getting back into this. And has been just really supportive, great friend, good guy. And I didn't know it. He's playing a priest also in the game, except for I'm a follower of Madeira, the Covenant, Light, and the Law. And I'm running around, being that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Well, he chose Memnon. I'm like, dude, Memnon's an evil bitch. What are you? Yeah.
that makes it more fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if we're going to stab each other in the back just sometime during the game.
That is possible.
I've helped him. He's helped me in combat. It's not that kind of game. We're not that edgy. Yeah. But it is fun throwing the barbs back and forth within the game, and out on X today, I threw a little something his way. So always good to bring it back to the original. The original Black Book. There's goodness in this book.
Oh, for sure. Shadowdark's an awesome game. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're writing a supplement, I feel, or a zine, or some sort of add-on, a bolt-on, you don't want to stray too far without tying back and paying some homage to the original source stuff because it was so good.
Yeah,
not just the mechanics of what Kelsey stripped down.
Yes.
But also the little bit of lore we were given. I still want to know who those other two deities are among the
lost
two lost ones, right? And I swear I'm going to write something for that, but that's probably on, half of us probably have that on the back of our mind that one of these days I'm going to write something for that.
Yeah, well, I think that's the genius of it because she really did have this like release valve for you to be able to bring in your own thing and still have it be in the lore of the world, and everybody can have their own different lost gods. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. She wrote a system that is great, and I'll tell people again and again, it's not that it's rules light. It's not that it's too lean or any of that. She'd been playing D&D since she was a kid. She knew how this works. We all homebrew. I think she knew she had to leave room for GMs and players to co-create and homebrew because we were going to do it anyway.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
Do it. D&D and other people say it the same thing a different way or maybe the same way, but D&D was never one game. D&D was 300,000 or 3 million different games.
Every table is running a different game.
Exactly. Yeah. And Shadowdark, ta-da, same thing. But she knew that going in.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Oh, there's Prince John. Yeah. So, let's talk about somebody we haven't, Lord Robert. So let's talk about the Robin Hood side of things. I thought that was interesting that you said, hell with it. I'm going to throw this in there too. I assume it's because you always had a love for that story.
I do. I love Robin Hood as well. Actually, the reason this, Robin Hood was not actually in the campaign until a little bit later in the process. Originally, this was going to be the opening part of the campaign was going to be more of like a Game of Thrones situation where there were going to be multiple different kingdoms in the Southlands and there was going to be some political intrigue and stuff like that. But I was just having trouble getting that to work in the way that I wanted to. And then eventually I was watching YouTube and I saw some clips of Robin Hood and I was like, there's no reason I can't just throw Robin Hood in here as well. And as soon as I did that, the entire first act of the game really started to come together for me. You could do this as a traditional where you go help Robin Hood and do Robin Hood things, and that's awesome. Or you can be like, I don't want to help Robin Hood, and you can go help the sheriff and Prince John and go that route as well.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of I'll use a big word instead of a simple one, elasticity in your setting, in that you can stretch it and bend it and mold it however you want for your own one shot with your friends or your own mini campaign. So in other words, you've co-created here, but you've left them plenty of room to create themselves, which I think a good supplement does.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. I hope people don't feel confined by the setting.
I'm sure they don't. I'm going back to my fancy questions I had written here before. Let's break off of this for a second, and because I don't want to spend all the time on Camelot. It's a fantastic product.
Sure, thank you.
But there's other products and things you have going on. But in between all this writing and so forth, tell me what you're playing. What kind of games? When you get time to play, what do you play? Yeah. Anything regular?
Yeah, so I'm playing pretty much exclusively Shadowdark right now. I wrapped up my Shadows of Camelot game I guess it was a month or two ago. I guess it was like 2 or 3 months ago. And then I run a pretty decent amount of one shots as well. Wicked Witch of the Woods was one of those one shots. And then now I am in the middle of a new campaign. It's the supplement's probably going to be called something along the lines of Reclamation of Dwarfhome. And it very much is an homage to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and the dwarves going back to retake their long-lost stronghold from marauding orcs, goblins, trolls, and, of course, a dragon. So that's the game that I'm working on right now, and we do that once a week.
Wow. Okay, cool. So you have a regular group that you play with and they test and do all that?
I do. I'm so fortunate. I see all these horror stories online of people that are constantly canceling their games. Ironically, my game this week is canceled, but this is I think the first one that has been canceled in the last 6 months or something. So yeah. I have a very good group. I have a very regular group. I'm also very fortunate that I have an in-person group that's recently started up that I can tap for stuff. And I also have an online group as well. So I can try out things different.
Family group that, when I got back into the hobby, like almost 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it's been, I don't know. They were all 30-ish years old, nephews, nieces, husbands, and they were all talking one night at a family gathering about playing Baldur's Gate.
Yes.
And somebody said that, but they're all video gamers. And one of them said, I've never actually played the old D&D game, with dice and paper, and my ears perked up. And I went, yeah, really? So I haven't played that. I don't think since 1986, but I happen to have all the old books and dice, and I think there's some graph paper upstairs. Why don't we get a game together? So
that's cool.
We played together for about a year until one of them was having a new baby. So we took a little break, and
yeah,
they have now all agreed to try Shadowdark. You know,
cool.
that doesn't mean we'll change, and they may like the other one. Some of them may like the other system better, but we were having a lot of fun with 5e. Don't get me wrong. I had taken a lot of things off the table and said, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do these, multi-class. Let's keep it a little bit simpler game.
Sure.
I'm a history guy, a BA and a master's in history. So let's keep it human centric. And I didn't explain all this to them up front. Of course, it would have been lost, but I'm like, low fantasy. Fantasy should be, magic should be scary and rare. I don't have magic shops in town where you can go buy stuff, but my taverns and inns are more like something from Chaucer and Canterbury Tales than they are from the typical D&D game. I don't have bars. There is no invention of a bartender in a bar standing. There's an old woman with an ale house.
Yes.
Who puts the sign out in front of her home when she has a new cask of ale to sell, right?
You're speaking my language. Yeah, that's the way I prefer to do it too.
It's just more interesting. And half the time, if they're staying somewhere for the night, it's usually on hay in a common room, or they are in a barn. In a barn somewhere. There's no Motel 6s along the way.
Yeah.
Or ATM machines or Starbucks or any of those things that sometimes work their way into fantasy. And again, I'm not judging. There's nothing wrong. If somebody wants to do high fantasy and have those kind of, I also enjoy, what's his name? Terry Pratchett and some of his books.
Discworld, yeah.
And those are crazy. I mean, they're goofy and they're not how I would run a game like this.
Yes.
But they're still enjoyable in their own way.
I do. I think a lot of this comes down to taste. And, people want to run very high fantasy worlds. That's totally fine. That's not my preference. And I will play in those games for short periods of time, but I don't want to run that. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. So let's talk about, you mentioned Wicked Witch of the Wildwood. Did I say it right?
Yeah. Wicked Witch of the Woods. Yes.
Of the Woods of the Wild. I'm putting too many W's in there.
Yeah, I put a lot of W's in there, and I frequently actually call it Wicked Witch of the West on accident, just because it kind of rolls off the tongue.
Did I say the West?
I don't know if you did. I know that I know that I do that.
It's natural, right? The Frank Baum Aussie thing. So it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's Wicked Witch of the Woods. Yeah.
I'm going to stop sharing here on that and go back to us. All right. So explain, while we have time here, what Wicked Witch is, and let them know what they're looking at.
Yeah, sure. So it's a first level dark fairy tale adventure for Shadowdark level 1. It really is kind of in the same kind of genre as like Hansel and Gretel. There's some of the Vavitch from 2015, the Robert Eggert film. I took some inspiration from that, and then obviously the Wizard of Oz plays some small part. There's some homages in there to Wizard of Oz. So, so this is a level 1 adventure. It's meant to be a one shot. The cool thing about it is that it's meant to scale pretty easily from 1 player all the way up to 6 players. And it scales very easily to the amount of time that you have to run it. So it can be played anywhere from about 2 hours to about 4 hours of playtime. And I made this for 2 purposes. One, I use it as an introduction to get my mom into playing these types of games, because she mentioned that she wanted to give it a try.
Did you do a video about my mom play? Was that you who did the video?
I did.
My mom played and she survived or something.
Yeah, she did great. Yeah, so we have the whole thing recorded.
And just laughed and laughed.
Oh, she did such a great job. I was actually blown away by how good she was at the game, how natural it felt to her.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. And then the second thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to make this a cool one shot that you could run for Halloween if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I love running Halloween games. I've done it pretty much. I do it most years. We're not going to do it this year because we've already done our Wicked Witch of the Woods playthrough earlier this month. But and I've noticed there's seems to be a not a lot of cool Halloween adjacent one shots for Shadowdark. There are some for other systems that you can adapt, and there's the Count, the Castle, and the Curse, which is kind of like a scaled down version of Castle Ravenloft, which is very cool. But I've already run that, and so I was looking for more stuff. And I was hoping this Wicked Witch of the Woods could fill that kind of niche.
Well, I already knew you were a smart guy just from watching your videos before we got it. And, I'm not blowing smoke or anything here.
I don't mind. You can keep going.
Yeah, please. Don't stop. Yeah, no, but I knew you were a smart guy from watching your videos. And then, again, here's another example of you leaning into one of the core tropes of all of fantasy, the witch.
Yeah, I like tropes. I love them.
Now, I don't have this, so I'm going to have to go get it and check it out. Maybe I'll get lucky and get invited into a game when you're running it sometime for some players, and I can.
I think I should run it, yeah.
But, it reminded me of being a child and watching Wizard of Oz on TV. And that damn scene where that green old witch is up on top of that cabin.
It's
I
terrifying.
cannot tell you how much, even when I walk the dog at night around our neighborhood, every once in a while I get that little flashback. Is that a shadow? Is that a witch up? I know it's not a real witch, but you know, that imagery of the witch up on top of what, you know, why was she on the house and why is that so scary? Maybe it's because she has advantage and she's got elevation on me.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. She has advantage. Yeah. But yeah, I want to talk about it for a second because I want to make this point. I love tropes, and I actually get annoyed when people are like, "Oh, this is too tropey. I don't want to run this. This is too generic." I don't think there's enough cool generic stuff out there. I just want my normal classic fantasy. I want it to pull from stuff that I am already familiar with. I think that's cool, and I want to play through those stories. And I'm always a little bit. I'm interested to know why people have that response. Maybe I'm just wired a little bit differently. But I love the tropey stuff. I love leaning into tropes. It's like my favorite thing. So you're going to see a lot more tropey stuff out of me in the future.
No, that's brilliant. I hope to talk to you about it. Okay, let me throw one thing out there. So I told you I come from more of a history background, although I love fantasy and been involved with fantasy and read fantasy forever, but I really lean heavy into the history first, and then I layer in the fantasy and the magic.
That's great.
So, you know, I've got a couple that I'm thinking about that I really want to go back to, and one is the Albigensian Crusade in southern France, right?
I'm not familiar with that.
That's the Cathars. They were a different version of Christianity that were a threat to the Catholic Church in southern France. So you actually had a crusade of Christians against other Christians, and it was horrible. Lots of burning people.
All of these are horrible, but that doesn't mean they're not interesting and cool. Good
and I'm not saying I'm going to recreate that, but like you just reminded me of leaning into tropes. You know, it's like I'm writing a zine, and my first setting is based on a Celtic, Gaelic,
that's so cool,
Norman, and Viking mishmash of Ireland, you know, somewhere between the 8th century and the 13th century. But I'm suffering with a little bit of bloat there and too many ideas, and I need to edit myself and cut some things out and make it cleaner and simpler.
Well, I think it's awesome that you've recognized that. I think a lot of people struggle with this.
Well, I mean, you know, I'd argue there's some history books you could read it's going to blow your mind more than anything we could ever write in fantasy.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I love mining historical stuff for my games. I love it.
Yeah, I'm reading some Viking stuff right now, one audiobook, and reading another one by a fantasy writer who's lesser known. Her name was Evangeline Walton, and she wrote this book called Dark Runs the Road, which is all about this young Viking boy. And it's about Vikings in Norway and Christianity and the two worlds coming together in the middle of the expansion and raiding period.
It's so interesting. I find it fascinating. I'm not super knowledgeable, but I find the whole thing fascinating.
Well, and I'm running a guy named Beargar in another game who's a sea wolf from Curse Scroll number 3, Midnight Sun, which is my what's your favorite of the first Curse Scrolls? I'll throw is it the River of Night? I'll throw, if you've had a chance to look at that.
I have looked at that one. That was my least favorite, but not necessarily because it's bad, just because I'm not a big jungle guy.
See, I'm right there with you. I cannot envision wearing armor in a jungle in any way. Although I listen and read Conan and have for a long time. Not O'Brien, the Barbarian. And
not the same.
not the same guy, it turns out, although they are related. And Conan, you know, spends a lot of time in jungles chasing picks and, you know, in that kind of setting. But of course, he's never wearing anything but a loincloth. He doesn't have to wear plate mail. So, I tend to stay with Western Europe, historical ideas like you're talking about, tropes. And then I try to add the magic in so that when somebody sees a spell or they see a magical being, you know, I don't do this, and we don't do it in our games. You've heard the guys advise, the people who advise GMs, that don't tell them it's 10 orcs. Just describe these large, hulking, gnarled. Describe the creature and let them fill in the blanks, but don't tell them what it is and what its armor class is, and get all meta gamey, and because you ruin the immersion. And I try to do that, but sometimes I forget and I just read off what it is.
Yeah, I'm a very gamist DM. I'll tell the players what it is. I'll even show the hit points on the monster a lot of times if I'm running in a VTT. I like that. I think it adds a more tactical component to the game, which is really what I'm more interested in, but I understand why people don't like it.
Did you ever play Pathfinder?
I have played Pathfinder. I played one game or one or two sessions of Pathfinder First Edition, and then I played quite a bit of the Pathfinder video games, Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, which I absolutely love. But I bounced off of First Edition Pathfinder. I only played it very recently. It's a little bit too much for me.
Too much crunch.
Too much crunch, and also there are not great online tools for it. I know there are online tools for it, but they are not the equivalent of D&D Beyond or Shadow Darklings. So
yeah, Shadow Darklings. I mean, it's already easy with the book in your hand to crank up a character, but Shadow Darklings makes it ridiculously simple.
I'm a huge fan of Shadow Darklings. I wish we could get more third-party stuff on there, but I know that's a tricky IP-related thing.
You just reminded me. Where's my phone? I use a tool, and I don't know if anybody else has stumbled across it. It's called 3x5 Arcana.
I've never heard of this.
I won't show it on the screen, but look up 3x5 Arcana.
Okay.
And what it is basically all the spells and monsters in Shadowdark.
Oh, interesting. I've never seen this.
Search them by tier. So if you're at the table and you don't have the book, or one of your players doesn't, and they want to look it up,
right?
They can go look up what their spell does and screenshot it, and then have 3 or 4 screenshots on their phone to go through their screenshots.
That's cool.
Oh,
yeah,
look what spell does.
I love that. I love player. Yeah. I'm gonna get so roasted in the comments about all my modern RPG takes, but no, I love digital assistants to the table. I'm fine if people have their phones out. I'm fine if they're playing on a tablet. When I played my most recent in-person game, we literally have a TV on the table. Everybody's controlling their token on their little tablet. I love it. I'm so happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I never played with miniatures.
Interesting.
In my 5e game, we do use the old, back of wrapping paper 1x1 hex grid trick, and I scotch tape it down before they get there, and we map important locations on that with a Sharpie. And then I did the old trick with the little, I don't have them around here, but the little tokens where you put your little piece of art, you glue them on, and then you buy the little bubble, the acrylic bubble, you stick on top. So we have little tokens that are physical tokens to move. Works fine.
When I was playing with physical stuff, I much prefer tokens to miniatures. I find miniatures take up too much space, and I don't want to paint them. I'm not a good painter. I played a ton of Warhammer, so I have painted a lot in my day, but I can't do that anymore.
My problem is if I start painting miniatures, I'm going to broach into historical wargaming. In the 90s, for about a decade and a half, I played 6mm Napoleonics.
Oh yeah,
core level. Cool. One figure equals 20 real men.
Yes.
So a battalion of French soldiers was 36. It looked like it had the real scale. So when the battles were spread out, they looked gorgeous.
It's very cool looking for sure.
But I painted so many of those dadgum things on popsicle sticks for a decade. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to paint anymore.
Yeah, I need that time to actually prep my games and write stuff. As much as I might enjoy some of that stuff, I just don't have the time right now to do that.
Yeah, there's too many fun things to do in this hobby for sure.
There's so many cool games I want to play. I just haven't gotten around to playing yet. We'll get there.
Tell me one or two. What are 1 or 2 that you'd like to get a shot to play?
So I'm actually really interested in Draw Steel. It's very. Are you familiar with this? Is the new?
I am. I haven't looked into it deeply, but my understanding that it is a little bit crunchier for.
It's very crunchy. It's incredibly crunchy. I do love tactical games.
Yeah.
I think I might have to wait until the dedicated VTT comes out for that game in order to play it. I have to say I've only flipped through it. I'm not a huge fan of the art. I don't like the implied setting, but I do like the tactical nature of the game. So I'm eager to try that one out. And then on the lighter side, Dragonbane looks very interesting to me. That's one where the art looks amazing. I think the setting looks amazing. And it's a lighter D20 system roll under. I think that's a very interesting one as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've heard great things about Dragonbane. There's just too many games. I can't try them all. I can't spend time in them all.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're not deserving. I think there's some. I feel badly for creators who go spend time and money and heartache and talent and cash.
Yes.
Pouring it all out there, and
so few are successful. So few.
The gods don't favor them for whatever reason.
There's just so much that goes into it. You have to make a great game, and you have to market it really well. And usually, the people that are making good games are not good at art. I'm sure you know this, being in what you do. But a lot of creatives are really bad at business. Myself, it's not excluded from that.
You have to wear a ton of hats. Yeah,
yes, you do.
Hard. Chubby does that well.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Good Lord, dude, how do you switch from this to that to this to that to this to that? But he does. We already mentioned Mythic Bastion Land. That's one I would like to try, which is totally different system.
It's like based on Into the Odd or something. Yeah,
I'm playing this one because I'm an Elric fan, but playing
Black Sword Hack.
How thin that baby is,
Yeah, I've looked at this one. So I've only read like the first Elric book. I think I really enjoyed it, and I understand it's like a pillar of the fantasy genre, but very cool setting.
Yeah, all the law and chaos and that side of things. Also starts the trope of a white, long-haired fighter with a magical sword.
Yeah, not Geralt of Rivia, not that guy. Yeah.
you know, it's been done again and again and again. It's like it all goes back to Elric and Michael Moorcock.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Warhammer Fantasy. I think I mentioned that earlier, and I know that series. I know Warhammer draws a lot of inspiration from that setting. So very cool.
I didn't realize that. I've never played Warhammer, but I know it's a huge community. And
it's both amazing and terrible. I don't recommend anyone ever get into it, but it was glorious back in the day when I played when I was really young.
Yeah, it reminds me, and I know they're totally different games.
Yes.
But one that's more like Shadowdark and D&D is going to be DCC. And I've got Dungeon Crawl Classics, that book. They write some of the best supplements out there, Lankmar and some of the other ones. Sometimes I buy those just for, you know, and I can easily convert them. I'm sure anybody can.
Right.
But I did play the game at a con last summer for the first time. I finally got a chance to play with somebody, and it was really fun. But the game does pop. I mean, the book does pop out on the table. It has to.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The spell descriptions are like a page long, right?
Oh yeah, they're really long. They are fun, but there's no way anybody's going to remember all that. It's just implied that, hey, we're going to stop for a few minutes while we check this out. It says this. Okay, all right. Well, then this is what happens, and you move on. But if you're fine with that, then it is a very fun game. I know nobody says it's gonzo.
It is.
Gonzo means from one person to the next.
It's a little too weird for me personally, and I don't like the weird dice, but it's a very interesting system, and I think it does a lot of cool things.
Yeah, they have a really loyal community that kind of flies quietly under the surface.
Yeah. What else are you playing? I don't think I asked.
Well, those two I'm playing right now. I haven't touched my solo dark game, and I want to spend more time with that.
Right.
And you know, hey, I'm selling both of my zines for $8. So if anybody wants to accuse me, what, you didn't play test your one shot? Well, no, I didn't. I did one. I haven't done the other. Although I think in the next week or two on our Monday night live stream, we are going to do Saints Beneath Us. So my second, I'll do a shameless plug here.
Yeah, do it. That's what we're here for.
I can't do it. It's downstairs. I took it downstairs to write some notes, but we're going to play. My second zine is called Saints of Shadowdark. So I expanded on all these saints. There's good saints. There's dark saints. There's relics, there's holy sites. If you want that kind of game and you want ideas, good, there it is. There's a lot about religion. There's a lot about all kinds of religious NPCs and professions and characters and so forth. I think there's even some spells in there and magic items. But then at the end, there's a one shot.
Yeah.
And the one shot takes place during a typical medieval type war where actually it's human centric. Both sides are just both pretty, you know, selfish, evil, and wrong.
Yeah.
But you're hired by the side that's conducting the siege to go down into the siege tunnel that they've dug.
Yes.
To go put a mine under the wall.
That's cool.
All of the cramped, confined darkness and sweat and stench and dangers of collapses. And that's before you tap into the old system of dungeons underneath the city to get to the temple in the middle. So you can guess where it's going, but
that sounds awesome.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to run it for them. And they said, yeah. It's just sitting there. Let's go play test it. And if I need to, you know, I'm not in print. I only have PDFs for my two zines. So I can always
understandable.
I can make updates and change it, you know, and they'll get the updates too, the folks that bought it. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wish everybody bought their stuff digital. I'm almost 100% digital at this point. I know that's that's sacrilegious to the community, but the print on demand process it's intense. It's a pain. Yeah,
it really is.
But people really love it. So you know, I'll keep doing it as long as people still want it. But man, I wish the process was a little bit more timely.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, one last thing, because we're coming up on an hour. I could sit here and talk till, you know, midnight or whatever, and I'm sure you could too, but we probably have other stuff we must do.
Yeah, we can always pick this up again another time, for sure.
One thing I want to touch on, maybe this will be the last wrap-up question, is let's talk a little about, and I have not read this, but I did watch your video on it, Knights of the Old Code.
Yeah.
Which paints a certain type of, and I can let you share screen if you want to do it. If you have a page you can open. I just made it where you can control presentations. You should be able to go to that bottom in the center of your screen that looks like a little arrow in the middle of a monitor. That's share screen there, and then you'll share. If you have it open in a separate window, you can share it.
Okay, let me see here. Let's do screen. We can go over here.
Because as we said before, there we go.
Is that good? Did that work?
Yep, it should come up.
Make sure I don't have any personal information on my monitor. I think I'm good.
It just said add to the screen. I said yes. Where'd you go? Hello. Hello? Try it again if you would, Will. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Maybe I hit it a split second too late or something. You'd think the little, there it is.
Hey, there we go.
Second time was the charm. So Will and I talked about this just a little bit before we got on, because we both created a knight class for Shadowdark. Mine is kind of a historical jousting character. Could be chaotic, could be lawful, could be neutral. It's based on a historical, like 100 Years War type knight.
Yes.
With horsemanship and battle tactician skills and all those things. He's done the other side. So tell us about Knights of the Old Code in your class, please.
Yeah, so this is actually a class that's based on the old code from the movie Dragonheart, if you remember that one from the, I think it's from the 90s. And there's in that movie, there's a knight, his name's Bowen, and it's also a post-Arthurian setting, although it's not necessarily a hugely prominent part of that film. And I thought it would be really cool to have kind of a remnant or a leftover from that older, more honorable time. And that is what the Knight of the Old Code represents in the setting. And like you mentioned, this is not a historical knight by any stretch of the imagination. This is kind of like the mythic example of the knight that you might see in this kind of environment.
The romanticized chivalric character living by a code of honor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the movie Dragonheart, they talk about the old code of Camelot, and Bowen recites it at a couple different points throughout the movie. And basically, each one of the phrases of that code, I have then translated into an ability that the knight can use on a regular basis throughout the day. So it really is just really leaning into that stereotype of this knight that's kind of out of time and place, like he really did, or he or she belonged, in an earlier time period. But here they are in this more modern place. Now they're just trying to figure out their way in the world while still adhering to their oath.
Yeah, I would play paladins. I played them when I was a kid, when they first came out around 1980. I'm not a fan of them now, because to me they just feel like for the guy who wants to win at everything, let me play a paladin because I can cast divine magic.
Interesting.
I can fly around on a Pegasus. I can do all these things. Yeah. It just feels too overpowered. It's nothing wrong with the class.
Sure.
This feels like a version of that, almost akin to the belief and the divine nature of the character of the paladin. I would play this probably in Shadowdark before I would play a paladin.
Cool.
I enjoy it immensely. That. If you actually increase the size of your screen on that window, it'll increase here on the video for them, and then they can see it. So don't do it on the wind. Yeah, there you go.
How's that?
You might want to bump up a little more so they could, if you want them to read. I don't know if you don't want them to read it, then
I'm afraid that if I go anymore, they're not going to be able to see it too much.
But, yeah, you'll have to kind of surf around the page.
Yeah.
But whatever you want to do.
Is that good, or should I go in further?
That's good. Okay. My old 59-year-old eyes can read it. Anybody can read it.
Gotcha. Also, I'll point out this is available completely for free on DTRPG. Anybody can go pick it up.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, totally free.
I'll find the link and put it in the show notes for them.
Realistically, I probably should have included it in the Shadows of Camelot setting, but I was a little. There's some stuff in here that I wanted to keep separate from the main game for IP reasons. But yeah, just in case Warner Brothers or whatever wants to come after my little supplement, I can take this off.
You don't say Dragonheart in here anywhere, do you?
I don't. But the code, I don't know if it comes directly from the movie or if they pulled it from somewhere else. But you know how it goes.
Oh sure, yeah. Got to protect ourselves. We're just little guys.
Yep.
I 30 years ago, built a website for a friend who had a little chocolate. You remember these chocolate fountains that everybody had at weddings back in the
vaguely
90s? They were like a big thing for a while.
Yeah.
I built him a little website.
Yeah.
Within a year, we had gotten a stop and
cease and desist.
Cease and desist.
Cease
and desist letter from Hershey's in Pennsylvania, because his website was, although I have to admit, his domain was a chocolate kiss.
They'll get you for that one.
Like, no way, take that down immediately, or else. Like, oh, shit.
I could go on about IP laws for a while, but that's we just get sidetracked.
Yeah. So you creators, be safe.
Yeah. So is there anything else you wanted to know about
I'm just looking through the different, we all know how a character sheet works. All armor and shields, D8 for hit points. Tell us about the oath sworn and uphold the code, please. Just
Yeah, these are really the key parts of the class. Oathsworn is basically just kind of the RP side of it. Basically, is if you're playing this class, you have sworn to uphold the code of Old Camelot, which you can see, on the other page over here. And basically, if you end up breaking your oath, you no longer have the ability to use the powers associated with the class. And your alignment will probably also change to no longer be lawful. That's one thing about the class. The class, all the people who are this class are lawful. There is no neutral or chaotic version of this class. And if you lose your lawful alignment, you lose the ability to use all of your related abilities. Very classic paladin archetype. And then if we scroll down a little bit, uphold the code is kind of the mechanical representation of the Oathsworn ability. Basically 3 times per day, you're allowed to use one of the abilities that you kind of get from adhering to the code. And there are a variety of different effects that you can choose that come into effect in a variety of different situations. And again, each one of those ties into one of the phrases from the old code that you see in the movie Dragonheart. So I was pretty excited when I was able to get this to come to life.
Yeah, this is, and especially knowing it's free, people go get it, along with the stuff that you're going to pay Will for. He might have kids in college or something, but this is a character you could take, in my mind, and it reminds me a little of Don Quixote and the knight who's living in old ways, the last of his kind in an old world. I love that old code part. And was that from Dragonheart specifically?
Yes.
Old code? Okay, that's the part that's a problem. But in your game, they're not going to know what you're playing, so don't worry about Sony or Disney.
Yeah. If you're using it for personal use, you should be fine. Also, it's free, so I don't know.
And I don't want to upset Will, but you could take it and use it with some order of knighthood in your own game.
Absolutely.
Old code of insert name here, and you've got a really good character, or NPC for your players, or play it as a player character, of course.
Yep. Yeah, there is actually an NPC version of this class in Shadows of Camelot.
Oh, sweet.
Yep, you'll meet her on the road, just kind of south of Camelot if you go that way. Very, very interesting character.
Okay, very cool. Anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, just checking. No, I'm kidding. Of course, please do put questions in the comments when you like and you subscribe to the channel. And of course, I can't imagine any of you do not know Will. Probably most of the people watching this will be Runeforged fans, and they'll say, oh, he's talking to Mike over there at Erudite DM. But if you are new here, please subscribe. It helps to build up the numbers and get more people talking about these things, especially if you like this kind of casual talk show format.
Absolutely.
Life's too short. I don't have time to edit, and I don't have time to do fancy graphics and things.
Understandable.
So anyway, Will, any closing notes? What's coming next? What can they look for from Runeforged?
Yeah, so the print version of Wicked Witch of the Woods is on the way. I just submitted the files for that yesterday or the day before. I can't remember. That process does take some time, unfortunately, so it'll probably be another couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months before that's available, but it is coming. And for folks who've already picked up the PDF or who plan to pick up the PDF between now and then, I will be issuing a discount code equal to the amount that you paid for the PDF so that you're not getting double charged if you pick up the PDF and the physical copy. That also applies to Shadows of Camelot. That also applies to Shadows of Camelot if you've got the PDF version, want to pick up the physical version. So, and if you can't get it for whatever reason, like you didn't get the email or whatever, feel free to reach out to me on my Discord or any of the other multiple different ways you reach out to me, and I'll make sure to hook you up with that discount code.
Yeah, I saw you had a link tree. If you just go Google, Runeforged Shadowdark, you'll find his link tree and get all of his channels right then and there.
Runeforged Tabletop Gaming on Linktree. Yep.
Do you have an email? Do you use email for inbound questions, or do you prefer to communicate?
I do. Yeah, sales at runeforgedstore.com, maybe. Hold on.
Always be closing. ABC.
Discord's the best way. So sales at runeforgedstore.com. Yeah, but you can also reach out to me. I have Discord. You're welcome to come hang out. You're probably going to get a better response from me if you reach out to me on Discord. It may come to the point where I'm not able to answer everybody all the time, and I apologize for that, but that is one way to get a hold of me.
Yeah. So, Will, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. This was really our first talk. I hope we talk some more and keep talking about Shadowdark, and be happy to look at any of your stuff and share it with other people.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me on, and we'll have to reciprocate, and I'll get you on my channel at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it'd be great.
Be happy to. More importantly, we should play Mythic Bastionland or Pendragon or something. So,
yeah, I'd definitely be down for like a one-shot or something. That sounds like a lot of fun.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thanks everybody for joining in. And again, questions, comments, put them down below. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, y'all.